أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد قال الله في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. O who you believe, decreed upon you is fasting as it was decreed upon you those before you, so that you may become righteous. Sadaqallahu Mawlana al-Aziz al-Hakim. Brothers, I just recited the one ayah that we have discussed several times before about the importance of fasting and taqwa. And I would take it further today to discuss taqwa in one specific connotation. So first, what is taqwa? Because in this month we talk about taqwa with regards to the salah, the sadaqat, the sawm, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us. So let's talk about taqwa first. In common terms, people use it as fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you think about it, it's basically being God conscious, being conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or the other nice word would be God cognizant, meaning that you perceive or you feel Him around you in a way that you respect Him, or you create a discipline with Him, an order, establish an order with Him at all times. If you go back and refer to Hadith Jibreel, the maqam of ihsan, according to the Hadith, is when you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you're seeing Him, and if you cannot do that, then you assume that He is after all seeing you all the time, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So taqwa is basically the ultimate point in that level of ihsan. Taqwa is not Ramadan specific. Taqwa is not only to be sought after or go after in Ramadan. But it's good to remind ourselves of taqwa and the values of taqwa in this month, and hopefully to continue with them, to act upon them for the rest of the month. Like I mentioned, brothers, We talk about taqwa with regards to salah and saum and sadaqat, how we establish our discipline with regards to Allah, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regard to these aspects. But one aspect that we don't always emphasize as much is establishing that consciousness with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with reference to His creation. And amongst His creation, especially the human beings. What I'm referring to, brothers, is understanding the human value in the perspective of taqwa. And what could be a better time than now to not only show our submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regards to making sujood in front of Him and fasting all day and spending our money in His way, but also to understand the value He has assigned to humans as an institution. And we will talk about that in 3 dimensions. The first dimension, brothers, that I talk about today is social equality and social equity. What is social equality and social equity, and what's the difference? Social equality means that we have the same resources for everyone. Everyone is equal. Equality, hence the word. Equity or equity is a little bit different. Equity means giving enough resources for that person to be successful. So equality is a broader term. Equity is more of an individualized term, individualized approach. How do you establish a system of social equality? You establish a system of social equality, or you thrive towards establishing a system of social equality by taking away all those differences. Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, Ya ayyuhan nasu inna khalaqnakum min zakarin wa unsa wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu inna akramakum indallahi atqakum inna Allah alimun khabir. O mankind, indeed, we have created you from male and female and made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most righteous of you. Indeed, Allah is knowing and acquainted. Now here today, it's very easy to talk about this, right? Social equality, we see in media, we even back home, we talk about equality. I'm talking way back then when this institution of social equality was actually established. It was not a new idea, brothers, it was a revolution. We're talking about the time when people had no idea about this concept. When people were openly distinguishing in terms of their paternal hierarchy, where they come from, where is their lineage, what is their social status, males and females. They were burying their young daughters. I mean, this really happened in human life, human history. In those times, if a man comes and brings the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and tells, no, there's no difference between anyone, especially based on race, creed, language, lineage, whatever, males and females. It is a revolution. It's a total switch from the norm. It is not taken easily. There's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of opposition. But this is exactly what our Prophet ﷺ did throughout his life after Nabuwah. And this is exactly after that the Khulafai Rashideen, they continued with this. That's why amongst the companions of the Prophet were not only the people from Makkah and Medina, they were Suhaib al-Rumi, they were Salman al-Farsi, they were Bilal al-Habashi, radiyallahu ta'ala alayhim ajma'in. Very beloved, very close to him. To the point that when this is his last sermon, his last big message at the time of Hajjatul Wida, and we have talked about this and we will continue to talk about this because it's worth repeating every single time. The main essence was, first, a lot of emphasis on how to treat women. And then the second main focus was, no Arab has superiority above a non-Arab, and no non-Arab has superiority above an Arab. This was the system of social equality that was established as a paradigm. But in his life, it's even more dramatic. I'm talking about a man who has a freed slave, say Zayd ibn Haris, and he gets him married to his first cousin, Sayyidah Zainab bint Jahash. So it is such a revolutionary idea that it's even difficult to imagine right now how many changes at social level, at personal level actually brought about in his life and propagated them. So this was the concept of equality that he gave us. The concept of equity is established in Islam. The social equity established in Islam is the institution of zakah. It's the one religion which sadaqah is actually channelized as a proper institution. And I just want to remind myself and all of us, since a lot of us, remind this time as the time to pay zakah, please make sure it's a priority to pay zakah. Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, as you know, at that time there were some people who were questioning should we pay zakah or not. And he said, if anyone wants to challenge that, I will go and fight them. It is very important. Somehow we always don't appreciate the importance of zakah. But this is the cornerstone of the system of social equity in Islam. I will now move on to a different dimension. And that, brothers, is the dimension of moral equality and moral equity. Moral equality means treating everybody with fairness, everybody equally. No matter where they come from, what their background is, what their language is, what their lineage is, treating everybody together. Makes sense. What is social equity? What is moral equity? Moral equity is a more profound concept. Moral equity means we adjust with people according to their educational, their cultural, their social backgrounds. In easy words means we give people the benefit of doubt. People who play cricket or appreciate cricket, there's a word that uses benefit of doubt. Whenever there's doubt about anything, you take a step back. You give the person room to wiggle, room to work with. This is really important, brothers. In other terms, what it means, do not judge people. Do not make opinions about people right away. And I'll give you an example, and I've discussed this before, and it's such a beautiful example that I'll discuss this again. This is the time after Fateh Makkah. My Prophet ﷺ, the time of Hunayn, he goes there, and the win, and there is a discussion about Ansar and those who just converted to Islam, Abu Sufyan and other people, that who's going to get the booty, the spoils of the war. And a lot of those went to the people who just converted. And one of the people from Ansar came to our Prophet ﷺ and said, the divide that you did, just imagine. This is really unbelievable. Coming to the Prophet ﷺ, who just conquered Makkah, coming to him telling him that the divide you did, the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to turn away from this. Meaning you're very unjust in the divide. And Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala was there. He could not take it. He said, Ya Rasulullah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you allow me and I will kill him. Get rid of him. He said, no. Maybe he prays. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if he prays, he's a munafiq. And he said, nah, Umar, I am not sent here to peek into people's hearts. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is the quality of character that we have to follow, subhanAllah. Like there's somebody who's coming to his face and telling him you're unjust in front of everybody, and there's somebody who's saying we will shun him, we will quiet him, we'll take care of him, and he says, no, I'm not here to peek into people's heart, brothers. This is the character our Prophet ﷺ left for us to follow. Do not judge people, brothers. Day to day we see people who come, we sometimes don't even understand them. We don't even know if they're having a bad day. We don't even know what baggage they have with them. Try to forgive them. Try to forget. There's a term they use in America. They say, I really like it. They say, we forgive, but we don't forget. You probably heard this. Sometimes I feel that people don't even forgive, but they think they forgive, but they never forget. So forgive and forget, brothers. Look at the blessings Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. They're countless. Forgive and forget. Keep moving. You can keep giving examples. This is my Prophet ﷺ. At the time of Fateh Makkah, when one of the people who killed his beloved uncle Hamza, not just killed him, took out his liver and chewed on him. Think about that. He looks at him and he forgives him. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You can continue to mention these examples and keep going and going. This, brothers, is the value of moral equity that has been established in our religion. There was a time when Rasulullah ﷺ was on the minbar in the masjid, and he made an announcement to the Sahaba, there will be somebody entering the masjid that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a place in paradise. So people were all, subhanAllah, who's this lucky person? So somebody came in, just an ordinary person, he made salah and he left. So, subhanallah, happened a second time. Same exact thing. He said, somebody's going to enter, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a place for him in heaven, in paradise. Same person came and he prayed and he left. Happened a third time, same exact thing. One of the Sahaba got a little curious. He said, subhanallah, what is so special about this person? He comes in and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam makes such a big statement about him. So he left the home and he said, follow that Sahabi. He said, I'm going to spend some time with you. And so he said, sure, subhanallah. So he spends 3 days with him. He wakes up in the morning, says salah, he watches him, he goes to work. Basically eats food, nothing extraordinary. Same thing again and again. So subhanallah, I don't see anything extraordinary. Next day, same thing repeats. He wakes up for salah, he goes to work, comes back home, eats food, says salah, and goes back to sleep. Third day, same thing again. Nothing special, next thing extraordinary. So finally he asked him, I said, okay brother, I need to ask you something. This is what we heard. And he was totally baffled that this was such a big statement. He said, subhanallah brother, I don't know. In fact he says that I feel like I do more ibadah, I do more qiyamul layl than you. And subhanallah, this is what I heard about you. He said, the only thing that I can think of is, when I go to bed, I forgive everybody that I know of. I forgive everyone that I know of. And then the second thing he said, I think that everybody in front of me is higher in status than me. I'm just below them. I'm lower than them. SubhanAllah, again easy to say, right? I can tell you, oh, I feel you're much higher than you. But actually believing that is only when you get this bishara to go to Jannah directly. Inshallah, we'll continue. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. The third dimension, brothers, is compassion. Compassion is as much part of religion as anything else. If the name of the religion stems from salama, peace, there has to be compassion. If our Prophet ﷺ, the way he's introduced the world as rahmatul lil alameen, there has to be compassion in this character. Compassion is the third dimension of human value that is part and parcel of Islam, meaning keeping kindness at all the time. Being merciful to people as much as you expect, or along the same lines that you expect people to be merciful to you. Forgiving people, forgetting what happened, moving on. And not just that, lifting people up. Those people who are downtrodden, who are poor, who need help, who are injured internally, externally, you go lift them up. That is really a part and parcel of this third dimension of human value that I was going to talk to you about. Our Prophet ﷺ, he's noted to that throughout his life, he used to encourage and bring up people who were down. They said there was this one person, some people say it was a female, some people say it was a male. We don't know, in a hadith book that there's a discrepancy. Just used to come and clean the masjid. Nobody knew of him. He just used to be there randomly. One day he came and said, where is? Oh, he passed away, we buried him. Our Prophet ﷺ was so upset. He said, you did not even bother to tell me? Like, any other person would have said, okay, subhanallah, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, we move on. He was very upset, he was very sad. How could somebody not tell him about this person passed away? He's walking out, this person randomly comes to her, one of the servants in Medina, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I want to talk to you. And he doesn't say, I don't have time for you, I'm a busy man. He says, tell me where in Medina you want me to go with you, and I will go right now and talk to you, inshallah. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The character of the Prophet, brothers, is there was this one person, and I really have to tell you the story. His name was Sayyidina Julebib, radiyallahu ta'ala. He was introduced as 3 words, as Qasir, Faqir, and Damim. The translation, he was short, he was poor, and he was, if I may use the word with very much caution, not physically attractive, quote unquote ugly. To the point they say that he was so much ridiculed, so much made fun of, that he was having problems. Before the ayahs of hijab, he used to hang out in the company of the sisters or females at that time, because the guys would just make fun of him. Nobody wanted to talk to him, nobody cared about him, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had different plans for him. This is in books of hadith. To the point that nobody knew his lineage. In Arab, everybody is like Muslim bin Atiq, bin Fulan, bin Fulan, bin Fulan. Nobody knew about him. He had no lineage, nobody knew where he came from. But then he came in the eyes of the best of the best, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he loved him for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, I'm going to go to find somebody who can marry him. So he went to this place and he asked for someone very high status in Medina, with the Ansar families too. And he said, I'm here to ask for your daughter's hand for marriage. And they thought actually Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asking for himself for their daughter to be married. And they said, Subhanallah, Subhanallah, we are so honored, this is such a blessing. And he said, no, it's not for me. He said, oh, maybe it's for Abu Bakr, radiallahu anhu. Maybe for Umar, radiallahu anhu. Maybe for Usman, maybe for Ali, radiallahu anhu, ajma'in. He said, no, it's for Julaybib. He was very offended. He said, Subhanallah, Julaybib, Ya Rasulullah. But he didn't want to offend him. So he said, let me talk to my wife. You know how we say we're going to go talk to the boss? So he went back, he talked to his wife. And he said to her, well, we have this proposal for our daughter, who was noted for her physical appearance. He was notable for their status and the wealth and everything. And she goes there and she goes, is it for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Subhanallah, this is beautiful. And same thing. He said, no, is it for Umar, Abu Bakr, Usman, Ali? He said, no. So Julaybib. And then they said that she said something very wrong. She said, by the life of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which we're not supposed to say. But she made like a big qasam. This will never happen. Subhanallah. And in the meanwhile, this daughter heard this conversation. She came down running and says, what is happening? And she goes, well, we have a very difficult situation. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is here to take your hand in marriage proposal for Julaybib. So all along, our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew about the value in the house that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had hidden. And she said, how can you say no to someone that is brought in proposal by my Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So she agreed to it, they got married. But it doesn't stop here. They got married. And then in the beginning of their marriage, there was a war. There was a battle that was going to be fought. So people said, Julaybib, you just got married. You don't need to go. You can stay at home. It's all good. It's going to be okay. I don't think they need that many people. He said, Subhanallah, you want my beloved Prophet ﷺ to go fight in the battle war? And I'm going to stay here at home? I cannot do that. So he goes out and he fights in the battle. At the end of the battle, this is how our Prophet ﷺ used to own the people. After you lift them up, you own them. You don't just leave them away. So he goes around all the tribes and he asks, is anyone missing anyone? Is anyone missing anyone? People go, Ya Rasulullah, we have accounted for people who are here. We accounted for people who have died. We are okay. He goes to the next area. He said, are you missing anyone? Are you missing anyone? He said, no, the people have died. They have died. They are alive. We're good. So Ya Rasulullah, but who are you missing? He said, I'm missing my Julaybib. I'm missing my Julaybib. So he did not forget about Julaybib at that time. And he looks for him and looks for him and looks for him. He finds him on the ground. He had attained Shahada. And there were 7 people around him. Little short man. And he said, he killed 7 of them and they killed him. And then he goes, Julaybib is from me and I am from him. This is how our Prophet ﷺ used to lift up people, honor people, get them together, bring them together. This is a sunnah, and this is just one beautiful story. You can keep going on and on and on, discuss about this. But the other big group that we often don't recognize or understand, we realize, but we don't always give that importance, is our orphans, yatam. People who sometimes don't even know who their parents are. They don't have these nice, cozy homes that they grow up. Sometimes they struggle through teenage. Like I went back to judging people. I tell you, from my experience, little experience, working here a little bit, I've had my personal times that I've been bitten. You make in the Sunday school, for example, you make a judgment about something and you realize afterwards that subhanallah, that individual did not, or that student did not have all the background or had a different background than mine. Some of this behavior is coming back from that background. So keep that in mind. I just want to reiterate that. But especially when it comes to the orphans, I just make that extra effort. One, because in Quran, multiple times there's encouragement to do so. Not just that, there is serious concern about those who don't do this, or don't encourage helping them, or who shun them away. أَرَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِدِينِ فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ. Those who shun them away, kick them out. But one more reason, brothers, and I will stop after this. They have an honor to share one thing very similar with our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Our dear Prophet had the honor of, he was born as a yatim. He had no father when he was born. And then a few years he was born, then his mother passed away. So no parents. This is how he grew up. So this is the other similarity with these yatama, with these orphans, that they have this special affiliation in that very unusual regard. So please remember them in any way, in any form, in any way we can help them and be of assistance to them. I make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us. I make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our forgiveness. Ya Allah, we sin and we sin again, but we come back to you and ask for your forgiveness, because there is no one else but you to come back. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we make dua to you to clean our hearts, to bring our hearts together. Ya Allah, help us each other understand each other. Ya Allah, make this month the month of acceptance for our forgiveness. Allah, accept our prayers, accept our sawm, accept our sadaqat. We're entering the last 10 days, Ya Allah, accept from us. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقم الصلاة.